Chosen one, something was sent to break your mind, to plant sadness and desperation inside you, and it never even reached you. While you were resting, an attempt to cage your thoughts collapsed on contact. No struggle, no warning. Your field rejected it instantly, like rain sliding off stone. The battle ended before you knew it began, because your protection does not require awareness to function. It is automatic now, integrated, built into who you have become. Spiritual law is exact. There are rules older than memory, governing how one consciousness may enter another. These are not moral opinions. They are structural laws of reality. Violate them, and consequences activate without negotiation, without emotion, without mercy. Intention alone is enough to trigger enforcement. The one who tried to harm you understood this. They knew they could not touch you directly anymore. Your frequency is too high. Your awareness is too sharp. Your nervous system no longer carries the fractures they once could exploit. So they searched for a back door, a fragment, a remnant, something discarded that still carried your energetic signature. A hair from your brush, a tissue, anything that once belonged to you. Because objects remember and signatures persist. But even then, access is not granted by possession alone. To work through a fragment of you, permission is required from the forces that govern exchange. Every working must be authorized. Every interference must pass review. Every intention is weighed. They made their petition, and the answer came back without hesitation. Permission denied. They were told clearly, this person is sealed. This field is defended by law, not by effort. Any harm sent here will reverse. Any manipulation will rebound. Any violation will not touch the target. It will rewrite the sender. They were warned not once, but repeatedly. Do not proceed. This is not a fight you can win. This consciousness operates under protection you cannot override. But jealousy deafens wisdom. Desperation erases caution. And ego convinces people that laws only exist for the weak. So they tried anyway. And the moment intention left their mind and moved toward you, the reversal began. Not slowly, not symbolically, instantly. Your field did not resist, it did not block, it did not struggle. It simply refused entry, like trying to pour poison into solid gold. The energy searched for fractures that no longer exist. It probed for wounds you have already healed. It looked for shame that has already been forgiven. It hunted for fear that no longer lives in your nervous system. And it found nothing. In that moment, the current recognized it had nowhere to go, so it turned, following its own signature back to its source, carrying everything it was meant to plant inside you, now amplified, now destabilized, now fused with the echo of your protection. What they sent as sadness became their grief. What they sent as desperation became their panic. What they sent as confusion became their mental fog, because energy cannot disappear. It can only return. And your frequency did not just reject it. It marked it. Something else intervened as well, for you are not guarded only by your own field. Ancestors who know your bloodline stepped forward. Guides who have watched your evolution reinforced the boundary. Intelligences older than this lifetime adjusted probability itself to ensure the strike never found coherence. Alarms sounded in realms the practitioner cannot perceive. Not metaphorical alarms, actual distortions. Attention was drawn and intervention activated. This is what happens when someone violates spiritual law against a consciousness living in alignment with its purpose. Protection becomes automatic. Correction becomes inevitable. And now consequences are unfolding in places you cannot see. Breakdowns that seem inexplicable. Opportunities collapsing without warning. Relationships rotting from the inside. Abilities fading, clarity dissolving, because the system is recalibrating them through consequence. And you? You continue sleeping peacefully, unaware, untouched, unchanged, because you did not earn this protection through ritual. You earned it through healing. through boundaries that cost you relationships, through forgiveness that released old hooks, through choosing yourself when abandonment felt easier, through building self-worth that no longer leaks energy. You became sealed by wholeness, and wholeness is the highest defense in existence. Darkness cannot anchor where there is no fracture. Manipulation cannot attach where there is no shame. Control cannot enter where there is no fear. So the battle ended before it began. And the verdict is final. This consciousness is protected. This field is sovereign. This life is no longer accessible to anything that does not arrive in truth. And now you walk forward carrying a frequency that rewrites outcomes without effort, because you are no longer defended, you are law. But jealousy makes people reckless. Desperation makes them deaf, so they tried anyway. The moment that intention left their consciousness and moved toward you, the reversal engaged, not slowly, not symbolically, instantly. Every ounce of darkness ricocheted back, magnified by the very force meant to carry it forward. What was designed to fracture your emotions detonated inside their own nervous system instead. The sadness they crafted began blooming in their chest. The desperation they programmed became the atmosphere they now breathe. The confusion they intended for your mind flooded their thoughts until they could no longer tell intuition from panic, memory from illusion. Because when harmful intention fails to find an entry point, it does not dissolve, it returns. And it returns carrying the full memory of its origin. This attack did not arise from random malice. It was triggered by awakening. Someone from your past has been stirring. An old connection. An ex who once left believing they had found something better, something easier, something more exciting. For a long time, they convinced themselves they had chosen correctly. They defended their decision, justified the distance, buried the quiet doubt that never quite went away. Until recently, something happened that shattered the illusion. They saw proof they could no longer ignore. Evidence that the person they chose was not loving them, only using them, financially, emotionally, energetically, passion displayed on the surface, but emptiness underneath, intensity mistaken for intimacy, drama mistaken for depth. The cycles began making sense. The hot and cold, the explosive arguments followed by desperate reconciliation, the exhaustion that never lifted no matter how hard they tried to fix things. And when that realization landed, something in their nervous system rewired. For the first time, they stopped comparing their partner to fantasy and started comparing them to memory. To you, not in nostalgia, in recognition. They remembered how safe they felt, how seen they were, how calm existed without boredom, how love did not require chaos to feel real. They remembered what authentic connection actually feels like, and that memory became dangerous, because the person they're with can feel the shift. They noticed the distraction, the emotional distance, the way your name surfaced in silence without being spoken, the way comparison began happening in places they could not control, and fear activated. Because if your ex fully wakes up, if they realize what they lost, if they remember who loved them without agenda, control disappears, so strategy replaced jealousy. The goal was simple: remove you as an option, make you unavailable, make you heavy, make you sad, make you so low that you are no longer a memory worth returning to. If they could collapse your frequency, they could preserve their grip. But they miscalculated one thing: you are no longer energetically accessible through the past. The cord was already severed, and the moment they tried to reach you through that old connection, they discovered something horrifying. The bridge no longer exists. No access, no channel, no entry point. So the only place the energy could go was back into the system that generated it, and now the unraveling has begun. Your ex feels restless without knowing why. Their partner feels threatened without proof, and the one who sent the attack feels consequences without explanation. Meanwhile, you remain untouched, unaware, peaceful, because what is truly meant for you cannot be blocked, and what is meant to harm you must first survive you, and nothing sent from fear ever does. If your ex begins remembering what real love feels like, you become a threat. So the strategy was precise. Make you unavailable, not distant, dismantled, broken enough that you would no longer shine in memory, sad enough that you would not feel like an option, heavy enough that the past would close itself. But they failed. Because long before any of this, you cut the cord. Not dramatically, not ceremonially, quietly, through healing, through choosing yourself, through releasing what no longer honored you, and the feeding stopped. They had been draining your ex, and through that lingering bridge, draining you. That exhaustion that came out of nowhere, that heaviness after sleep, that sudden emotional drop with no cause. That was siphoning. That was someone sustaining themselves on your light because they cannot create their own. But once the cord dissolved, the supply ended, and panic began. Because parasites do not survive when the host awakens. And you did. But you chose yourself. You healed. You set boundaries. You faced your shadow. You stopped abandoning yourself. You built real self-worth, and that created a fortress. Your solar plexus is glowing now. Pure power, pure confidence, pure knowing. Not borrowed strength, not performative confidence. Real authority that comes from self-knowledge earned the hard way. This is the center of will, identity, direction. When it is activated, it radiates truth so clearly that deception cannot even approach without being exposed. So when their working finally reached your field, it did not enter. It detonated, not outward, but backward. Your crown remained open, still receiving guidance, still anchored to source, untouched by doubt or spiritual isolation. No severing occurred. No silence replaced your intuition. Light continued flowing uninterrupted. Your third eye stayed sharp. Perception intact. Discernment clear. You still saw through masks, felt incongruence, sensed motives before words formed. No blinding, no distortion. Your inner sight cut straight through their illusion. Your throat stayed strong. Voice unbroken. Truth unhindered. No self-silencing took root. No shame wrapped around your expression. Boundaries remained firm. Your no stayed sacred. Your yes stayed sovereign. Your heart stayed open. Not naive, not unguarded, but soft without being fragile. Loving without being exploitable. Capable of intimacy without surrendering your self-respect. Cynicism did not harden you. Fear did not close you. Love remained alive and intelligent. And your power center, that is where everything collapsed. Because your solar plexus is not just activated, it is integrated, rooted in self-acceptance, stabilized by forgiveness, strengthened by grief fully processed, anchored in worth that does not fluctuate with approval. When their intention struck there, it did not bounce. It shattered, exploded into fragments of reversal, so violent it rewrote the current carrying it. Because you know who you are. Not conceptually, somatically, nervously, spiritually. You forgave yourself for past versions. You honored pain instead of bypassing it. You stopped performing identities to be loved. You chose peace over people-pleasing. You chose truth over comfort. You chose yourself, even when it cost you connection. And that created wholeness. Wholeness is the rarest frequency in existence. It has no hooks, no fractures, no entry points. And when a consciousness without fractures is attacked, forces older than personality intervene. Ancestors recognized your signature, guides reinforced your perimeter, divine intelligence adjusted probability itself to remove the threat. Not to save you, because you were never in danger, but to correct the violation, because someone crossed law, and law always answers. So the attack became instruction, the curse became calibration, the harm became evidence that you are no longer someone who needs protection, you are someone who activates it. Ancestors, guides, divine intelligence, forces that do not announce themselves, yet move entire realities when law is violated. They were already near you long before the attack ever formed. watching patterns, tracking contracts, monitoring the balance between intention and consequence. The moment harm was directed toward your field, disturbances rippled through dimensions the sender cannot even imagine. Not symbolic ripples, actual distortions in energetic structure. Signals were triggered, attention was drawn, jurisdiction was invoked, and intervention began. Not dramatic, precise, silent, unstoppable. Because when a protected consciousness is targeted, response is not optional. Correction is automatic. Now the ones who sent it are living inside the echo of their own intention. Financial structures collapsing without explanation. Income drying up in ways that make no logical sense. Opportunities dissolving right at the finish line. Plans failing at the last possible moment. Social isolation unfolding quietly. Friends drifting. Allies withdrawing. Conversations stalling. Invitations disappearing. Their energy growing heavier until people instinctively step back to protect their own nervous systems. Spiritual confusion setting in. Practices that once worked suddenly empty. Intuition silenced. Signs scrambled. Guidance inaccessible. They reach for clarity and touch only static. Emotional breakdown becoming inevitable. Mood instability. Anxiety without source. Guilt without resolution. A constant sense of being watched by their own consequences. They are not being punished, they are being instructed, because the prison they tried to design for your mind is now the architecture of their own reality. Every wall they imagined around you is now closing around them. Every limit they tried to impose is now defining their life. Every fear they attempted to plan is now germinating inside their nervous system. And while their world contracts, yours expands. Everything they tried to siphon is returning, not as compensation, as multiplication. Sadness transmuted into joy that no longer depends on circumstances. A deep, quiet happiness that exists even in silence. Desperation transmuted into certainty. You no longer chase, you choose. You no longer beg the future. You command direction through alignment. Confusion transmuted into clarity so sharp it feels like vision. You see patterns instantly now. You sense truth before it speaks. Decisions arise from stillness, not panic. Their attack did not weaken you, it refined you. It burned away the last residues of doubt. It sealed fractures you did not know were still open. It activated protection layers you had not yet accessed consciously. This was not luck. Luck does not build fields this strong. This was earned. Through nights, you survived quietly. Through grief, you did not bypass. Through boundaries that cost you love. Through choosing growth when comfort begged you to stay small. You paid in patience, you paid in healing, you paid in integrity, and now the universe is repaying in sovereignty. Because when someone tries to steal from a soul that has done the work, the system does not just restore what was threatened, it upgrades the consciousness, so you do not merely recover, you rise, stronger than before, clearer than ever, and permanently out of reach. Brick by brick, choice by choice, boundary by boundary. Not overnight, not dramatically, but through thousands of quiet decisions no one applauded. You did not build protection to fight curses. You were not preparing for enemies. You were rebuilding yourself after being fractured by life. You chose honesty over illusion, healing over avoidance, growth over comfort, truth over approval, and in doing so, you constructed something far more powerful than defense. You built wholeness. Wholeness is not armor, it is coherence. Every part of you aligned. No inner wars, no abandoned wounds still leaking energy, no identities worn to survive, and now darkness cannot survive near you, not because you repel it aggressively, but because there is nowhere for it to anchor. Fear cannot attach where there is no shame. Manipulation cannot grip where there is no self-betrayal. Control cannot enter where sovereignty lives. Attacks may come again, because light always attracts attention, but each attempt will collapse faster than the last. Your field is learning. Your nervous system is stabilizing. Your frequency is locking into a range that low intention cannot even tune into. Soon, attacks will not even register. They will dissolve before forming. You are protected, not by chance, by structure. You are aligned, not spiritually bypassing. Embodied, integrated, present. You are sovereign, no longer governed by fear, memory, or old contracts. Your life answers to your soul now. So welcome to your new frequency, where peace is default, where clarity is constant, where intuition guides effortlessly, where love approaches without chaos. Welcome to your earned power. Not flashy, not loud, but unbreakable. Welcome to the life you built by refusing to stay broken, by choosing healing when bitterness felt easier, by choosing self when abandonment felt familiar, by choosing growth when pain begged you to freeze. The best is ahead, not because destiny decided suddenly, but because you finally became someone who can hold it. And now, you are ready to receive, not with desperation, with sovereignty, with grace, with open hands that no longer tremble. Because what is coming now matches who you have become. Chosen one, this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your mastery. What tried to break you only revealed who you have become. What came to weaken you became the proof of your protection. What was sent to destroy you activated your next level. You are no longer becoming. You are protected, aligned, untouchable in ways the unseen understands. Walk forward knowing this. Nothing meant to harm you can reach you anymore. Nothing meant for you can be taken. Your light is earned. Your power is sealed. Your future is opening. And everything you've survived was preparing you for what you are about to receive. If this message reached your spirit, don't ignore it. Like this video, share it with another chosen one, and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next is meant for you. Stay ready. The best is already moving toward you.